Let's just jump into the news here. We've got this from Mediaite. Trump declares Iran war is nearly over. The war is very nearly complete. It's very complete, pretty much. He said pretty much. In a phone interview, President Trump told me the war could be over soon. I think the war is very complete, pretty much. They have no Navy, no communications. They've got no Air Force. He added that the U.S. is very far ahead of its initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame. Now, I don't know what that really means for Trump to be like, it's very much, pretty much complete. But you take a look at oil prices. When Donald Trump comes out and says, I think we're done, oil drops from 97. It was over 100 before, down to 84 just a few hours later. So it's looking like the market is reacting to this may be the end right now. And I will stress this, Venice.ai. Check it out, my friends. Sam Altman said ChatGPT will get to know you over your life. ChatGPT's got the former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now. Edward Snowden called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. Make sure you guys go to Venice.ai. Now, Alexa, I don't want to say this name, but your Amazon device listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. Meta retargets us based on our browsing and engagement history. So why would we assume AI is going to be any different? It took us far too long to truly understand what social media companies were doing with our data in the last decade. Are we really going to make the same mistake again? Even OpenAI has hinted they may require users to prevent a government-issued ID. Venice utilizes leading open-sourced AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation to your web browser. No downloads, no installation of anything. Private and permissionless. They don't spy on you or censor the AI. Messages are encrypted, and your conversations history is stored only in your browser. AI can be extremely valuable, but we shouldn't need to give up our privacy to use it. Get their Pro plan, which unlocks the full platform and all features, including PDF uploads for summaries or insights, the ability to turn off safe mode for unhindered image generation, the ability to change how Venice interacts with you by modifying the system prompt, limitless text, and high image limits. You can go to Venice.ai/Tim. Use code Tim. Do it right now. Shout out to Venice for sponsoring the show. You guys rock. Based on my conversations with people in the Beltway, a lot of these fat cats and bigwigs, the big money, they've been acting as though they fully expect this to be wrapped up in a couple of weeks. Not an exaggeration. So it really does sound like there's people putting their money where their mouths are. But I'm curious what you think about, is Trump just bloviating, or are we actually getting this thing to end?
I think that he's always bloviating. But
always.
It's kind of awesome. Like, he's hilarious. Look, if this actually does get wrapped up, you know, say on a fast timeline within 2 weeks, and the U.S. can make a legitimate claim that the majority of their goals were met, I think that it might end up being, you know, a positive thing. Look, the Iranian regime has always been, or at least for the past 47 years, has been a thorn in the side of basically everyone in the West, all of the Middle East. All their neighbors hated them. They were constantly funding terrorism. There's plenty of history of them attacking U.S. forces. They because of Iran, there was a lot of people that were in Iraq that ended up losing limbs or dying because of the bombs that they were supplying to the insurgents and stuff. So again, I wasn't for the war beforehand, but if, you know, I am pro-America. So if it ends up where they wrap it up in the next week or so, I mean, I think that's a good thing for the United States.
We're having some comments about audio, saying that Phil's audio's low or not
audio in
working.
general. But let me just add real quick also, Phil, the way your laptop monitor is angled, your shirt, because they can't see the second word, it looks like it just says, I stand with Israel, crossed out, but then you can only see the top of Palestine, so it looks like you actually stand with Palestine.
Yeah, no, you can.
Neither?
I stand with not Israel.
I stand with Lockheed Martin.
It's a great investment, and I'm not giving any advice.
Yeah. Get your American. No, I can't even give you that
advice. There's this post on Reddit that went viral where they said, I can't remember who, they said Trump Jr. and someone else invested into a drone manufacturer or something like this right before the war started, signaling that they knew and they were profiting off of it or whatever. But I don't think these leftists understand what invested in means. They assume that investment only just means like I'm going to make money. They don't understand it means I am funding the creation of what they're doing. Yeah. So like if we're getting involved in war and we know that there are enemy countries that are producing these specialty drones for warfare, and you're like, if I provide money, we can have those too. See, they don't understand the point of what investment is because they're communists.
Nope.
So, and Reddit's just basically all communists. So
Is it insider trading if like Nancy Pelosi knows a company's about to start, so she invests in another company that's going to support that company? Like it's technically still insider trading.
Look, as soon as they were moving aircraft carrier strike groups into the Middle East, you kind of knew what was going to happen.
I knew what was going to happen.
So I mean,
I thought I knew.
If people were like, "Oh, they're moving carriers," and so I'm going to buy, defense industry stocks, that's not insider trading.
I mean, it's kind of like what happened when in the breakout of the Ukraine-Russian war.
Yeah.
When you saw those reports that, they're moving blood bags to the front lines. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that just got a lot more serious. That's not a thing you do for a training exercise.
I'm glad that Trump said this. I think that he might. I never know. Like Phil, you were saying, he loves to trick people and to say nonsense to get the world's like, I have no idea what this guy's going to do. Just please, Trump, spare me. But if they really killed Khomeini's son, which potentially they wounded him and killed him,
This
I mean,
is four, right?
He has
This would be
4
number
kids.
No, this would be the 4th Ayatollah they've killed since the start of the war.
Jeez,
if they
in
get
5
him.
days.
No,
Second. The second?
yeah, they killed Ali Khamenei, and then the council appointed his son.
Okay, I've done the impression
They-
that they
Unless there was was there like a vice supreme leader?
Yeah, because I think the first night they killed like 40 plus.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty extreme the first
But
night.
the-
But
I guess if they have the the chain of command or whatever, the line of succession, and he wiped them all out, I guess you could say 40 or whatever. I don't know the actual, but my understanding is that they came in and they voted for his son to come in, and we'll get into all that too. But I'm curious, Mr. Herrera, you will be very likely going into Washington D.C. What do you think about Trump? They're not calling it a war. They're
Right.
saying it's a combat operation. They don't, Hegseth said we'll have the lawyers, figure that out. It's very obviously a war, but I'm curious what you think of it, and what would your position be?
yeah, like constitutionally speaking, if you're going to go to war, you need the approval of Congress. And now that's changed over the course of, especially since World War II. We've gotten a lot looser with that definition with the War Powers Act and different things like that. I'm personally in favor of the idea that if we're going to go to war with another nation, you need the approval of Congress. That being said, I don't think anybody wants another forever war in the Middle East in the sandbox. I don't think anybody's in favor of that.
Yeah, every day, all the time, forever. No, not true. My jokes are meaningless.
The thing is, though, I really, less so with this Iran conflict, but we'll see how it pans out. But especially with Venezuela, is if we are going to get involved with something, I vastly prefer the kind of conflict where you go in, the entire op takes an hour. You go in, you get out, you accomplish it, you get it done, and you don't spend 20 years somewhere, spend trillions of dollars in a war that fathers and sons are fighting in the same conflict generation apart. Like, just go in, get out. Like, we're the way that Trump's doing this foreign policy wise is putting 20 years of Bush-Cheney policy, foreign policy to shame.
The challenge I have with it is I would say I completely agree with everything you say, and I would add one caveat. There is a challenge, and I think you'd probably agree. There is the president does have the ability to engage in military operations in an emergency. Just go and do it, and that's been the criteria that they have exploited to be able to continually go to war. There is something that's challenging in that if Iran is really about to strike a bunch of U.S. personnel or ships or something like this, and I'm not saying, I know people are going to be like, Tim, we sent all those, but no, I'm saying, let's say we've got troops, and then Iran's like, we're going to go blow them all up. Trump says, okay, we're gonna take out their capability to do this. If he goes to Congress and says, put it to a vote,
Yeah.
you just told the whole world your next military move, and that is, I think, largely why they don't want to go to Congress, but also how they exploit the rules so they don't go to Congress.
No, 100%. I mean, that's clearly like, it's kind of like, I think it's the same justification for no-knock raids. Like, I am largely against no-knock raids, but I understand there's certain situations in which case you're like, okay, we have verified actionable intel. If we try to knock on this door, there's 18 armed cartel members on the inside. They're going to light us up. I understand the use case for it. I just think it's overused, especially when it comes to law enforcement, no-knock, stuff like that. I think it's a similar thing.
That's exactly. It becomes the excuse.
Yeah.
And then if you threaten to take that power away because they're abusing it, they'll say, then what'll you do when you actually need to no-knock raid or
It's the same thing with abortion, where they always come back to the, oh, well, it was rape or incest or whatever, when like the vast majority of cases, like the very vast majority, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Do you think we're headed towards a future of central control and authority where we trust the president to make the decisions about who we attack, or do you want to scale it back to congressional world?
I mean, I think we've been headed there for a long time. I mean, this is people think that this is unique to Trump. I saw there's a couple like gotcha moments. Tim, you kind of got a little bit of a crap storm on the internet over the thing that you posted.
Which one?
Just it was the old clip where I think it was it Bill Maher that was talking about that was the justification Obama used.
What,
or was
maybe.
it Colbert? No, it was the Colbert one.
Well,
I've seen a couple.
I posted a quote from Stephen Colbert about gas prices.
Yeah.
Because everyone's a retard, and I know. And so I was like, I'm going to post Stephen Colbert's quote without quotes in it, and then ignite the internet and get really angry. For those that don't remember, there's a huge story 3 years ago where Colbert said something like, gas has hit an all-time high, but I'm okay with paying $1 or $2 for a clean conscience or something like this, because we were going to get involved in the war in Ukraine. So now that Donald Trump was saying, look, oil prices are temporarily going up, and now all of a sudden liberals were losing it, being like, MAGA is going to support high gas prices. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to trap all these libs. I'm going to quote Stephen Colbert, who they defended, in this context, and then they will insult and attack me saying MAGA will do anything for Trump. And here's the thing. I literally posted, I posted the quote and then immediately the link to the story. Yeah. And I still knew no one was going to actually click the link and read it. And it's 2,000 replies of people like, you're happy that the gas prices are up? I'm like, no, I just wanted to do this to prove a point, and then I'm going to make it into a YouTube video.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you said it this morning, you're like, this was an IQ test.
Yeah.
Because, well, and it does point out the fact that, like, people are just headline readers nowadays. Like, how many people actually take the time, and, I'm guilty of this occasionally, how many people take the time to actually open up the article and read the context behind the 2 sentences that they read before, that are in the headline.
This is like the sole basis for my job in media is that, people are always like, Tim's kind of a milquetoast fence sitter. I'm like, yeah, because my opinion on like the tax rate and, the policy for abortion, I go, wow, I don't know if I'm smart enough to answer those questions for you guys, nor do I have the clarity of the moral clarity to tell you how to live your life. But I can certainly tell you the media lied to you about everything. So that's the challenge we have right now. It's not even that the media lies, which they do incessantly. It's one of the stories we've got pulled up. It's that people don't care. So that, the NBC knows they can write this fake headline making the victims of a terror attack sound like the perpetrators, because most people are not going to read the story. They're going to read the headline. And I guarantee you now there's a bunch of libs going around saying, did you hear about the white supremacist rally where they threw explosives at Mamdani's house? Because that was the headline that NBC created, even though the real story is I guess the protest was is anti-Islam or Islam critical or something. And Islamic jihadi extremists lobbed nail bombs at them. And then the media frames it to make them the bad guys, which, again, we'll get into. But yes, people aren't reading the news. They're just skimming the headlines and then assuming that's the truth.
Man, there's even just deep fake news headlines that I'll read, and I'll be like, is this real? And I'll ask Grok, and he'll be, nope, this is fabricated. This is a fake picture from 2020. The American ship did not get blown up by Iranian missiles today. And it's got 17,000 likes on it or whatever.
I'm sure you've seen the billions of AI videos that have been going around where it's, like an American fighter jet being chased or an American helicopter being chased by a dude on a flying carpet with an AK.
I thought that was real.
This is going to one-shot your grandfather on Facebook. Like, there's no way. If you're 70 plus, this is just, it's over.
He's going to be like, I knew they had those things the whole time.
I've been indoctrinating my mother about it. Everybody, go to your elderly family members and friends and tell them about this AI stuff. Let them know right now. Get serious about it. Because it's interesting to them when they find out about it. But it's, no one's going to tell them unless you do it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.